The United States has inaugurated 46 presidents, witnessed countless transitions of power, and weathered its share of political storms. But rarely has a week in American politics been so consequential, so charged with tension, and so indicative of the turbulent journey ahead as the first week of Donald Trump's second term. In his first week of his second term as the 47th President of the United States, Donald Trump enacted a series of assertive and controversial measures signaling a decisive shift in both domestic and foreign policies. Over the next few minutes, we'll delve into the key decisions made during this pivotal week, examining their potential impact and the questions they raise about the future of America. January 20th, 2025. A crisp, almost frigid Washington, D.C. morning. The air crackled with anticipation, with anxiety, with the weight of history unfolding. President Trump, flanked by his family and Vice President J.D. Vance, took the oath of office inside the Capitol Rotunda, a stark contrast to the grandeur of inaugurations past. The decision to move the ceremony indoors, a nod to the biting cold, seemed to underscore the sense of urgency, the desire to dispense with ceremony and get down to business. And business indeed was brisk. Within hours of the swearing-in, a torrent of executive orders flowed from the Oval Office, each one a shot across the bow of the status quo. Never before had a president signed so many executive orders on the first day, a testament to the administration's determination to reshape the American landscape at breakneck speed. These weren't mere formalities, not the typical pronouncements of a new administration finding its footing. These were bold strokes, designed to dismantle the legacy of the previous administration and lay the groundwork for a radically different America. From immigration to healthcare, from environmental policy to foreign relations, no policy area was left untouched. Each executive order a carefully calibrated message, a signal flare illuminating the direction of the Trump presidency's second act. The sheer volume of these orders, coupled with their sweeping scope, left many reeling, struggling to grasp the magnitude of the shift underway. The nation, it seemed, was holding its breath, caught between apprehension and anticipation, bracing for the impact of this audacious opening salvo. In the days that followed the inauguration, the pace of change did not falter. The White House became a whirlwind of activity as advisors shuttled in and out, each carrying drafts of executive orders, each seeking the president's signature, the stroke of a pen that could reshape the lives of millions. 26 executive orders in 5 days, a record-setting pace, a testament to the administration's laser focus on dismantling what they saw as the excesses and failures of the previous administration. The Affordable Care Act, a lightning rod for political debate since its inception, found itself in the crosshairs. Environmental regulations, painstakingly crafted over years, were rolled back with the stroke of a pen. The Paris Agreement, a landmark global pact to combat climate change, was discarded. A move met with international condemnation, but lauded by those who viewed it as an infringement on American sovereignty. Immigration, a defining issue of the Trump presidency, took center stage once more. A national emergency declared at the southern border, paving the way for the deployment of armed forces. The administration, emboldened by its electoral victory, seemed determined to push the boundaries of executive power, testing the limits of what was possible. The nation watched, transfixed, as the political landscape was redrawn, the familiar contours of American governance shifting beneath their feet. The southern border, a place where the American dream collides with the harsh realities of poverty, violence, and desperation. A place where the Trump administration chose to make a statement, to draw a line in the sand. The declaration of a national emergency at the border, a move typically reserved for natural disasters or acts of war, was met with a mixture of shock and resignation. The images beamed into living rooms across the nation were stark, unsettling. Soldiers in fatigues patrolling the Rio Grande. Razor wire strung along the border fence, a physical manifestation of the administration's determination to keep people out. The message was clear. The United States under the Trump administration was closing its doors, retreating from its role as a beacon of hope for the world's downtrodden. Legal scholars warned of a constitutional crisis, predicting a protracted legal battle that could reach the Supreme Court. Critics accused the administration of xenophobia, of scapegoating immigrants for the nation's problems. The human cost of this political battle played out on television screens across the nation, a stark reminder of the real-world consequences of policy decisions made in the halls of power. The Affordable Care Act, known to many as Obamacare, had long been a thorn in the side of the Trump administration. A signature achievement of the previous administration, it had extended health insurance to millions of Americans, but remained deeply unpopular with Republicans. The executive order aimed at minimizing the economic burden of the ACA, while couched in language of compassion, was widely seen as the opening salvo in a renewed effort to dismantle the healthcare law. The administration argued that the ACA was collapsing under its own weight, that it was driving up costs and reducing choice for consumers. Opponents countered that the administration was deliberately sabotaging the law, that its actions would result in millions of Americans losing their health insurance. The debate, often technical and complex, masked a fundamental disagreement about the role of government in providing healthcare. The Trump administration, true to its free market principles, believed that healthcare was best left to the private sector, that government intervention only served to distort the market and drive up costs. The battle over healthcare once again exposed the deep ideological divides that ran through American society. The Paris Agreement, a landmark accord signed by nearly 200 countries, had committed the world to combating climate change. The Trump administration's decision to withdraw from the agreement, announced in a Rose Garden ceremony, sent shockwaves through the international community. The administration argued that the Paris Agreement was unfair to the United States, that it placed an undue burden on American businesses and workers. Critics, however, accused the administration of environmental recklessness, of prioritizing short-term economic gain over the long-term health of the planet. They pointed to the increasing frequency of extreme weather events, the rising sea levels, and the growing body of scientific evidence as proof that climate change was real, and that it demanded urgent action. The withdrawal from the Paris Agreement was a defining moment for the Trump administration, a clear signal that it was willing to go it alone on the world stage, even on an issue as consequential as climate change. The Israeli-Palestinian conflict, one of the most intractable conflicts in the world, had long been a diplomatic quagmire for the United States. The Trump administration, however, seemed determined to break with decades of precedent, to upend the status quo and impose its own vision for peace. The administration's decision to recognize Jerusalem as the capital of Israel and to move the U.S. embassy there, a move that had been repeatedly delayed by previous administrations, was met with condemnation from the Arab world and sparked protests across the Palestinian territories. The administration argued that the move merely recognized reality, that Jerusalem was the seat of the Israeli government, and that it was time for the United States to acknowledge that fact. Critics, however, accused the administration of inflaming tensions, of jeopardizing the peace process, and of siding with Israel at the expense of the Palestinians. The administration's decision to cut off aid to the Palestinians, a move widely seen as punishment for their refusal to engage in peace talks, further exacerbated tensions. The Palestinian Authority, already reeling from the loss of U.S. support, accused the Trump administration of being biased in favor of Israel and of undermining any chance for a two-state solution. The Trump administration's approach to the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, marked by a disregard for international consensus and a willingness to take unilateral action, represented a significant departure from the policies of previous administrations. The Constitution grants the president broad pardon power, allowing him to grant clemency to individuals convicted of federal crimes. President Trump, throughout his presidency, had shown a willingness to use this power, often in controversial ways. But nothing could have prepared the nation for the wave of pardons he issued in the final days of his presidency. Over 1,500 individuals, many convicted of serious crimes, received pardons or commutations. The list included political allies, campaign donors, and even family members. The pardons, many granted without the recommendation of the Justice Department, were widely seen as a blatant abuse of power, an attempt by the president to reward loyalty and settle scores. Legal experts warned that the pardons could have far-reaching consequences, potentially shielding individuals from future prosecution. The pardons, a final act of defiance from a president who had never shied away from controversy, would forever tarnish his legacy. President Trump's initial week of his second term has been marked by rapid policy shifts and assertive actions, setting a tone for an administration intent on implementing its agenda decisively. From immigration to healthcare, from environmental policy to foreign relations, the president has charted a course that diverges sharply from his predecessors, leaving many Americans uncertain about the future. This first week has been a stark reminder of the deep divisions that exist within American society. As we move forward, it remains to be seen how these early decisions will shape the course of President Trump's second term and the long-term impact they will have on the United States.